Hello everybody, it's Kate. Today I'm going to be talking about Cobra Kai, which is a continuation of the Karate Kid movies. So it's basically about all of them a couple decades later and how karate is still affecting their lives, basically. So let's get into it. Our main adult characters are Daniel LaRusso, Johnny Lawrence, and John Kreese. It gets confusing because there are lots of people. So obviously, Daniel LaRusso is the main kid from the Karate Kid movies, and he currently owns a car dealership with his wife. And then Johnny Lawrence is kind of a handyman. He has an ex-wife and a kid who he is not involved with at all. John Kreese, who is the sensei of Cobra Kai in the original movies, he is supposedly dead. Mind you, supposedly, because in the first season we find out that he's not. And some other main characters who are adults is Stingray, who is a man-child who wants to learn karate and also likes hanging around kids. And then we have Louis LaRusso, which is Daniel's cousin. He works at the dealership that him and his wife own, a car dealership. So he's semi-important. He's just kind of there in a lot of scenes and kind of moves the plot forward to make other characters do stuff. And then we have Cameron Diaz, which is one of our main characters' moms. She is basically just there to be like, guys, let's not fight. And then Amanda LaRusso, which is Daniel's wife, who I love so much. She has the voice of reason in literally every single scene. Whenever Daniel's like, karate, she's like, how about we stick with our business, man? Now onto the main kids, which is kind of the main storyline, I'd say. So we have Sam LaRusso, which is obviously the LaRusso's kid. We have Tori Nichols. She doesn't come in until season 2, but I put her on this because I'm talking about season 1 and 2. Then we have Robbie Keane, who is Johnny's kid, but he kind of abandoned them. We have Miguel Diaz, who is Cameron Diaz's kid, and he is Johnny's neighbor. We have Eli, aka Hawk. He only goes by Eli at the beginning until he gets a mohawk, and then he goes by Hawk. And then we have Dimitri, who is Hawk / Eli's best friend. He becomes more important in the second season. For secondary main characters, we have Moon, who is one of Sam's very close friends. And also eventually dates Hawk / Eli, but that's not super important, but it's semi-interesting. We have Kyler, who is a classmate and also a friend of Sam and like the popular friend group. And then we have Aisha, who is Sam's best friend from childhood, who they're not like super close anymore because Sam got like popular and Aisha did not. Season 1, we have Johnny and Cameron and Miguel. They all are neighbors and they like semi-recognize each other, but they're not like super close. But then one day Johnny is going to the gas station because he wants to buy stuff, and he sees that Miguel is getting beat up by Kyler and his friends, and they pour Pepto all over his head. Johnny comes to the rescue and beats up all the kids with his awesome karate skills, and Miguel is impressed, being like, whoa dude, I didn't know you could do that, like you should teach me that. But Johnny's like, no. And also, super fun, awesome fact, Johnny's an alcoholic and he drives drunk a lot, so that's really awesome. Love that. Sam and her friends are driving in their car. They accidentally hit Johnny's car, and they decide, they get scared because it's at night, and he's like, what are you doing? And he is a very intimidating person, so they quickly drive away. So they've committed a hit and run. Sam was not driving, but her friend was, and they are upset. I mean, Johnny's obviously upset, so he's like, I have to go into a random place and, fix my car. And then Miguel goes to school. It's like a new school. So Miguel goes to a school. He sits with Dimitri and Eli / Hawk. Miguel sees Sam from across the lunchroom and is like, dang, that girl's gorge. Then Dimitri and Hawk are like, she's one of the popular girls. Like, they kind of hate us, by the way. Like, they literally hate us because we sit alone and we're losers and whatever. And then this part's so awkward. Miguel stands up and is like about to walk over to Sam, but then Kyler walks over and like sits next to Sam because they're like flirting, talking, like they're not dating, but they're like pretty close. And then Miguel's like, and then Kyler's like, hey, Rhea, like diarrhea, because he got like Pepto and stuff, and it's really sad because he's like, hey, Rhea, what's going on? And then he walks away and he's like, yeah, I didn't talk to her. And they're like, yeah, shocking. You didn't talk to the popular girl. Daniel and Amanda find out that she's interested in Kyler. So they invite Kyler over for dinner, and he's the most disrespectful, most annoying person in the entire world because literally Daniel makes like a super like fancy meal, and then Kyler's like, yeah, I don't like fish. Do you think you could like make me like chicken nuggets or something? That is insane. Like going over to someone's house, like some like your partner's house, and meeting their parents and trying to impress them, and you're just gonna be like, yeah, this I don't like this food. I don't like it. And everyone is so nice. They're like, oh, like we can try to find you something that you like. And then Daniel's like, yeah, I didn't even like this as a kid either. Whenever it's just Daniel and Kyler talking, because everyone else is like trying to get them to find them like food and trying to find Kyler food. Daniel notices that Kyler's like a little beat up and has like his knuckles bruised. So he's like, oh, we got in a fight. So Daniel's talking to him, being like, oh yeah, I had my fair share of fights as well, whatever. And then Kyler, this scum, is like, no, like I actually like got in a fight with like a grown man. He came up and started beating up me and my friends. So it's like, oh, is that what it's called? Is that what it's called? So then Daniel goes to find Johnny to be like, hey, you beat up a kid? But then he sees that he rebuilt Cobra Kai, so he's like, let's not. Because then he's like, dude, Cobra Kai, like, literally, you all tried to kill me. Like, you pushed me down a cliff, you beat me up, you beat me up again, you beat me up some more, and then I beat you up. So then Johnny is starting to train Miguel because he rebought where the dojo used to be, and he's trying to fix it up, and he has to fix it up to like he gets to get it to code, you know, before he can like open the karate shop. The karate dojo. So then there's a Halloween party and they all go. Johnny gives Miguel his skeleton costume from the first movie, and Miguel overhears Kyler and his friends like being very gross towards Sam. Like they're just talking about her in a inappropriate way, in a very degrading way. And obviously that is not okay. So Miguel is like, dude, don't talk about her like that. Like, she's a person. She's not just like an object. He tries to beat up Kyler because he got some karate skills, but he loses. Johnny is like at the school because he's like handing out flyers for Cobra Kai. Johnny takes Miguel home to his mom, who is like, you need to stay away from my son. Like, my son just got beat up because you taught him karate, so I'm literally never having you talk to my son again. Which good for her. Like, throughout this entire thing, she is so based in everything she says. So then Johnny, like, talks to Robbie and is like, hey, you need to stop skipping school. You need to stop, like, doing drugs. You need to get, like, straight. But then Robbie's like, dude, screw you. You literally left me and your life is trash and it's in the gutter and, like, you dipped on me and my mom. And then Johnny's like, oh. Instead of, like, continuing to try to reconcile with his son, Johnny's just like, yeah, I'm gonna go try to reconcile with Miguel instead. Like, he just is like, okay, I gave it, like, a 10-minute convo. That's enough. And then he goes and tries to train Miguel again. He begs Carmen to be like, please let me train your son. I won't fail him again. I'll make sure he won't get hurt, whatever. Carmen's like, okay, fine, whatever. I guess it was helping him gain like confidence and like athleticism, I guess. So he keeps training him, but he's like telling him how to like defend himself instead of just like hitting. Instead of striking first, he's like, maybe block a little. Back at school, Kyler is like a super bad bully to like everyone. He is a total ass to Hawk and Dimitri, like throwing some of their stuff away, making fun of Hawk's lip and stuff. And Sam sees this and she's like, oh. But they like have a date, so she goes on it with him. And they're like at the movie theater and he is once again gross with her. Tries to pressure her into doing stuff she's not comfortable with, so she embarrasses him and dips, and it's like, screw you, we are over. And it's pretty awesome. Slay Queen, we love you. Sam's not one of my favorite characters, but I loved her in this scene. So then the next day at school, Kyler is spreading rumors about Sam because he's upset that she ditched and dumped him, which good for her. Kyler is just like shitty to her at school, so like Miguel fights Kyler and some of his bully friends. This is like take 2 of the fight originally, and he wins, surprisingly. Sam's very impressed, but also just like being like, I'm really glad someone like stood up for me, especially because like Kyler and all his friends are like the main bullies of the school who are like super mean to like everyone. And if you hate Kyler as much as I do, you're gonna be very happy to know that he becomes the lamest dork ever in later seasons. So we're gonna be getting to that soon. Actually, not in this episode. Not in this video, but in another episode video, we will. So then Robbie comes back and is going to talk with his dad because he's like, you know what, like, I think my dad is actually trying. Like, I kind of want to at least try to have a relationship with him. He sees that Johnny is being like a father to Miguel, so he's basically feeling like he was, I don't know, like swapped with Miguel, being like, oh, well, since my other son won't talk to me, I'm just gonna be a fatherly figure to someone else. So he's upset, but he is not really gonna, there's nothing that like big happens, but it's just showing that his relationship with Johnny is getting even worse, if that's possible. So then some more people join Cobra Kai after they see the fight that Miguel won, including Aisha and Hawk. So they're starting up because they're like, I'm sick of being bullied and everything. So then Robbie gets a job at the LaRusso Auto Company because he wants to get back as his dad, and he knows that his dad absolutely hates Daniel LaRusso. So then Robbie starts like learning karate on his own. Like Daniel just notices him doing karate. I think it's just whatever. And then Daniel's like, I'll teach you, because he wants to teach Sam karate. But Sam's like, nuh-uh, Dad, you taught me for like 10 years and I'm bored of it. Cobra Kai gets to go into the All Valley tournament, even though it was banned due to what happened in the third Karate Kid with Terry Silver. So they are actually able to compete because like Johnny changed their minds and stuff, despite Daniel being like, guys, he's actually like a bad person, don't let him join the All Valley tournament. But then Johnny's like, I'm actually not who I used to be, and I'm changing Cobra Kai for the better. I'm just using the same name because it's what I grew up with and stuff. So they're able to compete in the All Valley, so they're stepping up their training because he doesn't want them to lose. At the same time, Miguel's getting more confident because of his karate and just like being able to be more like being less shy and stuff. So he asks out Sam on a date. They go on a very fun date. It's very sweet. They go to like an arcade place. But then Johnny's like, you're dating a LaRusso? She sucks, man. Like, her dad sucks, she probably sucks, whatever. And Miguel's like, nah, man, she's like cool, like she's really nice. And Miguel has an idea that if he introduces himself to Daniel, that it will ease the tension between Daniel and Johnny. So one evening, he goes to their house and he sees Sam and Robbie because he's like at dinner at their place. They don't see him. So he's just like, okay, screw you all. I'm leaving. I literally hate you, Samantha. He doesn't say that. He doesn't even like mention it. He just sees them. And at the same time, we find out that Louis LaRusso, it destroys and blows up Johnny's car. Which is insane. So Johnny beats them all up because he's like, what are you doing to my car? Why are you like blowing it up? It's because like it's Johnny and Daniel hates him. So then he beats all of them up. He goes to the LaRusso house. This is after Miguel has already left, by the way. Sorry, I forgot to say that. Yells at Daniel and is like, dude, what the hell? Your employee and cousin just blew up my car. And Amanda, being the amazing sweetheart she is, she calms both parties down, and Daniel offers to buy him a new car, which he does. It's a very cool car. Don't ask me what it is because I don't know about cars. I will show a picture, and that is it. That is all you're getting from me. It's these colors too. So I'm kind of sitting in an awesome sports car right now. So they're test driving one of the cars, Johnny and Daniel, and they're kind of bonding over like childhood stories because they're driving through the valley. So then all the kids go to a party. I say kids like I am literally not a few years older than them. All of the high school, I'm gonna say kids because like whatever. All the kids go to a party, get drunk, whatever. There's a lot of underage drinking in the show, which 1, illegal, 2, stupid. Miguel gets drunk and like confronts Robbie, who is like hanging out with Sam, and he's like, hey, like that's my girlfriend, why are you like basically like low-key hitting on her, why are you low-key trying to get with her? And Robbie's like, yo dude, chill out, like I'm literally just working for her dad and we're friends. I think he's overreacting, but drives the story forward. So Miguel accidentally hits Sam when him and Robbie are fighting. He like elbows her and stuff. So then she's like, oh, it's Cobra Kai's doing. Why you became like this aggressive and all this stuff, which makes sense. I would think the exact same thing. So Sam breaks up with him. Miguel is like, okay, damn, maybe I shouldn't have done that. It's like, yeah, maybe don't get like super pissed and like get physical, you know? But like he obviously didn't mean to hit her, but still. Whenever Johnny and Daniel get back, he sees Robbie, and Johnny's like, dude, what are you doing with my kid? And then Daniel's like, that's your kid? I hired your kid unknowingly? So both of them are pissed. They become not best friends anymore. Daniel fires Robbie because he's like, you kind of lied to me and did this only to get back at your dad. What the hell? So the All Valley tournament. So Cobra Kai does really well in the tournament. Hawk and Miguel go to the semifinals. Hawk is insanely aggressive and severely injures Robbie, who is just participating. Like, you don't, for some reason there's like a loophole where you don't have to be associated with a dojo and you can just compete. And so he did that, so he was fighting in it. But then Hawk hurt his shoulder, so Hawk is disqualified because he like kicked him and like popped his shoulder out of place, which is so crazy. Daniel is there because it's like a very famous. So then Daniel's like, yeah, you can fight on Miyagi-Do and I'll be your sensei. He wasn't really that mad then. But then Miguel notices that Robbie's shoulder is still sore, so he like hurts his shoulder more to get him out. So Miguel wins, but it's also like he fought kind of dirty. So it's like kind of a scummy win. And Johnny notices this and he's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have like been like strike hard, strike first, no mercy, be a total ass and just win for like in whatever way you can. And he's kind of seeing himself in Miguel because he's like, I used to be like a really horrible kid. Like I don't want Miguel turning out this way, because he just saw how angry Miguel was and like how vicious he was on the mat. Robbie starts training at Miyagi-Do and Johnny goes back to the dojo drunk one more time, and he sees John Kreese there and he's like, dude, you're alive? And that's where season 1 ends. So then it picks up right where it left off, and John Kreese, I'm gonna just call him Kreese because everyone does, and Johnny fight, and Johnny loses because one, he's drunk as a freaking skunk, and also because Kreese is a lot more vicious. I mean, he was also like in the war. I think it was in Vietnam War. There is so much like war flashbacks in this show. It's crazy. Hawk is becoming less and less like his original self, Eli, and is very rude to Dimitri, who is still an insane nerd. And he's like making jokes about them, like, hey, we're binary bros, blah blah blah. And then Hawk is like, that's nerd shit, man. But then Robbie, we are introduced to his mom, who is so horrible to him. She like literally just like leaves him at the apartment to go to like with like a new boy, well, with a new man, like on vacation. And then she's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'll be back in like next week or something. So Robbie is left alone at home, very poor. Electricity cuts out, whatever. He's super moody in this part of the show, which makes 100% sense. I would also be moody if my mom left me and my dad was a deadbeat. Yeah, whatever. He keeps training with the LaRussos. Sam and Robbie are the only Miyagi-Do students at the moment. Daniel finds out about Robbie not having anywhere to go, so he invites Robbie to live with them. So Cobra Kai is getting a lot more people wanting to enroll because they won the tournament. Whenever new people come in, they're like, so we're gonna give you some mean names. John Kreese walks back into the dojo and is like, hey, let me train you guys. And Johnny's very hesitant at first because he's like, dog, you beat me up and I don't trust you, whatever. But then he's like, okay, you can stand behind me and you can kind of help me, not help you train, but like I'll see if I warm up to you. So as they're talking, he's like, Miguel, like have them do warm ups. So he's telling them what to do, and then he's like, dude, this punch and this kick and side dab. I didn't know how to handle that physically. Like I started hurting. Like I felt like I had smoked 30 packs of cigarettes and my lungs were like trying to kill themselves. Like I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And the worst part is season 2 came out in 2019, which I feel like is like 4 years late. Well, it was like what, like 2016, so 3 years late. Amanda convinces Daniel to go and talk to Johnny, being like, hey, you need to tell Johnny that his kid is staying with us. And Daniel's like, but I don't want to. We fought in high school and he is karate now. And Amanda's like, are you a baby? Like, you are, like, there is a kid here whose parents are, one of them abandoned him and the other one is not aware that the other parent abandoned him. You have to talk to him. So like I love Amanda. She is literally the only mature adult. I mean, so is Carmen, but I think Amanda's a little bit better in the mature category, at least in some aspects. And so Daniel's like, okay, fine. So he goes to the dojo, but then he sees Kreese and Johnny talking, and he's like, Kreese is back, because he obviously thought Kreese died, and he's like, what the hell? Like, I thought you changed, Johnny. Like, you said that you changed. And so he doesn't actually end up telling Johnny that Robbie is staying with the LaRussos, because he's like, I'm pissed at you. You suck. And because of Kreese, Daniel becomes slightly petty. He makes an ad about Miyagi-Do being like, this is about peace, not a snake in the grass, and like stuff like that. So it's obviously just shitting on Cobra Kai and being like, they're violent and I'm not. But then Amanda finds out that Daniel used half of their marketing budget for the karate commercial. And he's not even gonna make any money because he's advertising the karate for free. I understand they're rich, but maybe use your personal funds and not your business's funds to be petty because of your rivalry from high school. Johnny and Miguel have a heart-to-heart. Johnny talks about how he failed Robbie and that he failed as a father and he completely abandoned his ex-wife and kid, and he's not going to do the same for Miguel, and he will always be there for him and he will always want and do the best for Miguel, trying to be a better father for Miguel, because he's like, I can't mend my relationship with my actual son, so I'm going to just try to do my best with my karate student, which I think is better than nothing. But also it's like, you are still actively being an absent dad. Like, hate to break it to you, man. Dimitri goes to Cobra Kai because he's like, hey, all the Cobra Kai kids are super popular now. I kind of want to learn. So he goes in. He's like, yeah, I don't want to like actually get like physically hurt, and I kind of just want to like not do a ton of physical exercise, but I want to know karate. And Kreese beats him up. Literally just assaulted a kid. And he walks out and he's like bleeding. So Dimitri leaves and he's like trying to talk to Hawk, but Hawk's like, dude, like you were just a pussy. So it's clear that Hawk is clearly becoming the bully that he used to be bullied by. We meet Tori and Stingray. They are two new students that joined. Stingray is a grown man who wants to know karate, and he's rich because his parents are rich, and his mom gives him an allowance, so he has money, and he gives Johnny some money, being like, please let me train here, man. And Johnny's like, okay, whatever. And then Tori is also there, and she and Miguel fight because Johnny's like, I just want to see like if anyone has what it takes to take down my best student. And surprisingly, Tori does. They spar and they like tie basically. Neither of them like win. Aisha invites Tori to go to like a beach, like the beach club sort of. So Tori and Aisha go there, and then at the same time, Daniel takes Sam and Robbie going because they're like, maybe we can get business if we talk to people there. They don't. But then Sam runs into Aisha and is like, hey, we haven't talked for a while. And then Aisha is like, bruh, your dad literally made a video like dissing Cobra Kai. How dare you? And Sam's like, can we not discuss this? It's summer. We should be talking about boys and having fun, not talking about like karate. And then Aisha's like, yeah, okay, I guess. But then Tori comes back and she's like, hey, look what I got. And she stole a bottle of vodka from the pool bar, like a full bottle, and she's like sipping it. And Sam's like, you shouldn't steal stuff. And she's like, why, are you like a baby or something? It's a very annoying scene. I did not like Tori in this scene, even though I like post growth Tori. But it's basically her just being like, what are you, a baby? And then Aisha's like, yeah, Sam, what are you, a baby? So they leave and Sam's like, I'm just telling you not to steal. At the same time, one of the people who work at the resort, it's not a resort, just like a country club pool, comes up to Robbie and is like, hey, I know you used to work here. And he's like confronting Robbie because Robbie and his old friends were like bad people. And then Amanda's like, he's our guest. And then the pool guy's like, no, but like this guy's bad news. And then Amanda's like, no, he's our guest, leave him alone. I love Amanda so much. I think she's one of the best, like, not best characters, but one of the most like rational, like grown adult, mature characters. But it's very sweet. She defends Robbie, but then after a little while, like whenever they're about to leave, Amanda's wallet is missing. So Sam immediately thinks it's Tori. So she goes after Tori and like pushes her, and then Tori pushes her back and she falls into a bunch of like desserts and gets stuff spilled on it. Very similar to in Zapped whenever Zendaya got like the chocolate fondue all over her. Very weird reference. Sorry about that. Tori did not have the wallet. Robbie's like, dang, I think I know who stole it. So he goes and like goes to like an old stash house almost, where his old friends used to bring like goods that they stole, and he like gets it back. But then his friends start beating him up because they're like, bruh, like you freaking ditched us, man, whatever. But then Daniel comes and beats up his friends, and Daniel saves the day, which is awesome. Very cool. Dimitri goes and joins Miyagi-Do because he's like, I got beat up by an old man, and also my friend has become a bully and I miss him. So he's not really like trying that hard with Miyagi-Do. He's mainly just there because he misses his friend and he wants to learn karate, but like in like a half-assed way. So then Sam, Dimitri, and Robbie go to the mall. Robbie and Sam are getting closer, and Dimitri goes and is like on his own in a random store. He runs into Hawk and a bunch of other Cobra Kai people. They start chasing him because they want to beat him up because he left a bad review on Cobra Kai being like, this old fart literally beat me up. So very valid. He left like a Yelp review and they're like, delete it, and he's like, no. So he dips and runs away. He's about to get beaten up in the food court, but then Robbie and Sam save the day and they beat up all the Cobra Kai kids. And it's very funny because they keep like grabbing on Dimitri, like pushing him out of the way like he's a little kid. It's so funny. I don't know, it was just such a funny, like, sweet scene because like whenever Dimitri was about to get hit, Sam or Robbie grab him and is like, careful, and they're like, okay, be careful. And for some reason the cops are not called because why would they? This is a show. But it's like, if there was a huge fight breaking out with like 10 kids, I think someone would call the cops, or at least like mall security. And then Daniel keeps training him and is like actually like trying to help because Dimitri's realizing that he actually should learn how to fight because his friend wants to beat him up. Like, Tori tries to distract him from Sam because he's still very upset they broke up. You can obviously tell that Tori's slightly jealous, but then they go to like a park and they're like talking for a little bit. And she's like, you need to like get your mind off of Sam. And just like Miguel's like, yeah, Sensei Johnny told me that I should be bold. And she's like, then be bold. And they kiss and it's very sweet. Love is in the air, but not for Hawk. His girl breaks up with him because she's like, I heard that you beat up Dimitri, like what the hell is your problem? But then he's like, babe, what are you talking about? He gets super aggressive and he like is like, I got a tattoo for you. And it's like a moon with her name Moon in it, and she's like, I didn't ask for that. And he's like, well, I did it anyways. It's a little crazy, and he like gets like pissed, like genuinely terrifying. Not a fan of the character. He gets better, but he becomes like this like super aggressive like alpha bro who's just like, this stupid bitch, I hate nerdy stuff, blah 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 blah. He like storms back into Cobra Kai and like starts like punching stuff and is like super aggressive, and Kreese is in the back being like, we could use this anger. Kreese like pushes him to like the dark side and is like, you should do some real damage. And it's like, this is literally how school shooters are made. I can't say that. I think that's a little too far. I love Carmen so much. Every scene she's in, it makes me very happy because I'm like, okay, breath of fresh air. Johnny was like talking about like how upset he is about all the stuff with Miyagi-Do and his kid and all this stuff. And Carmen's like, you need to be a like, bigger person, like that you shouldn't have enemies, like it can destroy you if you do. He's like, well, think about it. Sam and Robbie get together. They it's kind of like they almost kiss and they don't, and then a few days later they just make out. So cool, good for them. And due to Kreese's meddling, I am genius play on words, Hawk goes to Miyagi-Do with a couple of the Cobra Kai teammates, trashes the place, and steals Mr. Miyagi's Medal of Honor, which is a super big thing, obviously. He smashes it, takes it, and like wears it around his neck, which is like crazy. This is like genuinely like insane behavior. Daniel sees this and he sees that like they spray painted like Cobra Kai is better or whatever onto his car that Mr. Miyagi gave him, the yellow one. So he storms into Cobra Kai and is like yelling at Johnny, being like, you destroyed my stuff, you stole this, you destroyed all this. And Johnny's like, what are you talking about, man? Like, Johnny's genuinely confused. And then Daniel's like, fine, if you want to hit me, go ahead, but I'm not gonna strike first. And then then Johnny's like, well, I'm gonna be the bigger man, I'm not gonna hit you either. Daniel has like a monologue being like, if you want to stay like this loser, go ahead, but if you want to be successful, follow me. So quite a lot of kids leave Cobra Kai to go to Miyagi-Do. Johnny's super upset that some of them destroyed Miyagi-Do because he's like, that's super insane and unprofessional and just like ridiculous and also illegal. So he's like making them all do like a bunch of like workout stuff, trying to tell them to confess whoever did it. But he gets like a phone call and he leaves because one of his very close friends has passed away, so he leaves. And Kreese is in charge of the dojo and he's like, don't, like, he knows Hawk did it because he obviously was like, the night I told him to like act on stuff, he did something. So he's like, don't tell Johnny, I'll figure it out, whatever. And he's also very proud of Hawk and all the people who did that. Whenever Johnny gets back, he's like, oh, we're going to the woods for like a training exercise. And Kreese is the one who assigned it. So they go to the woods to do like a training competition where they have like a headband or something. And like every time you take one off, that person is out. And then by the end of it, whoever has the last one wins. So at the very end, it's only Hawk and Miguel. Miguel finds out that Hawk has the Medal of Honor. He's literally wearing it around his neck. So they fight. Miguel is obviously very upset, not only because it's wrong, but also because it's his ex-girlfriend's dad's place. He wins, takes the medal back, and he's like, okay, I won, everyone. But then Stingray jumps out from like under like a ton of leaves and dirt, literally like PETA. And takes the last one, so he's like, I won. So then Johnny like noticed how rough Miguel was with Hawk during the training session. Like he like destroyed Hawk and like really hurt him. And Johnny was like not happy with this because he was like, one, I promised your mom that I wouldn't make you into like a monster, and also you're getting too aggressive. This is not what I wanted. I wanted us to, like, he's trying to change Cobra Kai to not be as violent, or at least not as ruthless, and to show mercy. So he kicks Kreese out and is like, dude, listen, this isn't gonna work, you're gonna have to leave, whatever. So Kreese is like, okay. So he leaves. So then Sam and Robbie go on a date at a roller rink, and also Tori and Miguel are also there. Tori works there, so Miguel came just to like hang out with her when she works. Tori purposely like semi-trips Sam, so then Sam does it back. Tori falls like flat on her face and spills all the drinks and stuff. Miguel is obviously very upset, being like, you just tripped my girlfriend, like what is your issue? But Tori's like, ha 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 ha, I got that girl. So then Robbie and Sam are kicked out of the roller rink. So it just shows that there's more animosity between the four of them now, because Miguel obviously kind of still likes Sam, but he's dating Tori, so he's like, I'm obviously gonna choose my girlfriend in this argument. Fun news, there are lots of dates in season 2. Carmen and Johnny go on a date. Yay! Very sweet. They go on a date, and at the same place where they're going on a date, Daniel and Amanda also go on a date at the same restaurant. So they're like, oh, we should just push our tables together and hang out. And the two women can tell that there's animosity between Johnny and Daniel. So they're like, okay, we're gonna kind of pry into this because it's petty. Daniel and Johnny, they bond, so funny enough, about how the waitress always gets something wrong. So they're becoming like more amicable towards each other and like kind of humanizing each other, but they do not become like friends because they're still like slightly awkward with each other. And at the same time, there is a big party going on at Moon's house. It's like a back to school party because school's starting soon again. All of Cobra Kai students and all of Miyagi-Do students are there, and Moon's like, I just wanted us all to get along before school starts. And so there's a lot of animosity between everyone. But also Stingray comes. He is a grown man going to a party with high schoolers. He brings a girl as well, and I hate this so much, and it makes me very uncomfortable. He is a grown man attending a high school party where kids are underage drinking. Do not love in the slightest. It makes me slightly uncomfortable. Slightly, aka very. It's obviously trying to be like, he's just a man child. He's just trying to fit in because he can only hang out with kids because they're mature. They're as mature as him. But it's like, let's not make this a comedic bit about a grown man hanging out with high schoolers. Like, oh my gosh, man. Aisha talks to Sam and is like, oh, by the way, Miguel returned the medal because Robbie had just told, because Robbie had given it to the house. I forgot to mention this, I'm so sorry. Robbie gave it back to the house because he was like, hey, I didn't steal this, but I wanted to give it back. And he gives it to Robbie because Robbie's the one who opened the door because he's not living with them. Robbie doesn't tell Sam that because he's like, I don't want my girlfriend to know that her ex-boyfriend gave back the medal. Sam's like, oh, So Sam goes and talks to Miguel, and they're both very drunk, and they share a kiss, and they both immediately are like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. But still, it's like, don't do that. Like, don't kiss your ex when you are both in relationships. And Tori sees this and is pissed, obviously. But then, at the same time, Dimitri embarrasses Hawk in front of everyone and says, like, really, really embarrassing things. Talks about how he used to be a super big nerd, how he used to wet the bed for a really long time. And I understand that Hawk tried to beat up Dimitri, but it's like, this feels too far almost. And I feel like I mean, I would be very petty as well if my best friend of like my entire life turned into like a horrible person and was like actively trying to hurt me. I would definitely want to do something back and retaliate, but it's just like, this is so mean. Like, you know how hard he was bullied and you're kind of doing the same thing. But I guess you could say that for both sides of it. So Sam's like, I can't go to my parents, like I am drunk. But it's like, her parents are so lenient about everything. Like, she had a pool party at their house without asking, and they were just like, oh, maybe don't do that without asking. So like, they're super chill. I feel like they would have been fine. They probably would have given her a scolding because it's like underage drinking, but they probably would have been like, as long as you're okay. Robbie doesn't know where else to go, so he brings her to Johnny's apartment, and Johnny's like, okay, that you guys can stay here the night. But then whenever Sam doesn't come home, they track her phone. Daniel goes to Johnny's apartment and is like, where's my daughter? So he pushes through the door and like he beats up Johnny because he's like, what are you doing here? Because he also sees Robbie there. So he's like, what are you guys doing here? Where's my daughter? And Sam comes out and she's like, Dad, stop. So both of the kids push the parents off of them. Daniel obviously kicks Robbie out of the house. So Robbie moves in with Johnny. So then at school, Tori goes over the intercom and is like, Sam LaRusso, I'm literally gonna beat you up. And I think if this happened at school, the school like police officer would be like, I'm taking you away, girl. I think especially now, because so much violence happens in schools, that I think there would be hyper cautious. And if someone threatened that, they'd be like, okay, we're taking her away. She might have a weapon. But then a huge fight breaks out. So Sam and Tori are fighting. Hawk and Dimitri are fighting. Miguel and Robbie are fighting. They're all fighting. And Stingray is there for an interview with the school. He wants to be like the school resource officer or whatever. He comes in and starts beating up all these kids and breaking up the fights. And it's like, stop letting this man around kids. Like, oh my god. Tori has like brass knuckles, sort of, and really, really injures Sam. Dimitri and Hawk fight. Dimitri kicks Hawk's ass. He like kicks him into like a glass trophy stand. And then Robbie and Miguel are fighting. When he freezes and stops and like sort of gets off of Robbie, Robbie takes the opportunity and kicks him off of the balcony of the school. Like, kicks him off the second floor of the school. Obviously, I did not mean to do that. He was just in the moment, but still, I was like, Miguel almost dies. He gets pushed off the stairs, immediately gets knocked out, and later we find out that he was almost paralyzed. So he goes to the hospital. He's in a coma. Sam is also in the hospital. Robbie is nowhere to be seen. Same with Tori. We find out later that Robbie obviously gets arrested for this, but we don't find that out until season 3. But I was just going to mention that because I think it's important to mention that it's not just like the police are never involved, because they are in some parts of it, but not in all of fights, which is surprising to me. Johnny feels super upset, and Carmen blames him for what Miguel has become. She's like, I hate you so much, blah, 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 blah. But then Johnny feels really bad. Again, drinks and drives and reflects upon everything he's done in life and is like, I'm a screw up. I ruined my son's life. I ruined my semi-adopted son's life. Like, it's crazy. So he goes back to the dojo just because it's kind of like his like home base sort of, and he sees Kreese is back training the kids in secret. So there are a few of the kids, including Hawk, who he's training in secret. And then Johnny's like, dude, get out, I literally told you to leave. And then Kreese is like, I talked to the building manager when you were gone, like when your friend died and you went to the funeral, and I bought the building, so I actually own Cobra Kai now. So Johnny completely quits, Daniel completely quits because his daughter was in the hospital, and that is the end of the season 2. I've been filming for like 2 hours, and I have not scripted out anything for season 3 or 4, but I will be making a video on that, and then after that we'll make a video on seasons 5 and 6. Obviously, if you guys hate this, I won't do that, but I thought this was a really fun thing because I wanted to do something a little bit more creative and longer than just watching a movie, writing about it, and then talking about it. So if you guys like this, please let me know. Leave a like and a comment and maybe subscribe. Like and comment and subscribe, like I said earlier, and if you don't, a 30-year-old man will come and beat you up, and his name is Stingray. Okay, bye.